Reincarnated with the strongest system. Chapter 11, Choosing a Path Part 1. After their near-death adventure, the baby and the goat immediately fell asleep. William only woke up when Anna bathed him while he was asleep. "What's wrong, little baby?" Anna pinched the baby's disgruntled chubby cheeks. "Did I interrupt your sleep?" Yes. "Ave, what a cute little boy you are," Anna cooed as she scrubbed William's body with a soap. "Don't worry, you can go back to sleep after I bathe you." Anna playfully tickled the baby's armpits. To her surprise, the baby actually giggled, which made her continue her teasing. Ella woke up due to William's giggling. However, seeing that Anna was taking care of him, the goat closed her eyes to sleep. Although William had healed her injuries, she was still exhausted after that skirmish with the goblins. After William finished bathing, Anna wrapped him in a clean cloth. She then placed him beside Ella so that he could drink her milk. The baby had long gotten used to his routine and immediately helped himself to his mama Ella's milk. Daily quest, drink milk, has been completed. Rewards, 6 EXP points. Current EXP, 365/1366. Shepherd LVL 1. Job EXP, 86/200. My experience points increased by 1 point. William thought as he looked at the experience points he gained after his daily quest. This might be the effect of Gavin's blessing. If I remember correctly, he said that after gaining a job class, I will get a 20% increase in experience points. The little baby was quite happy with the gains he received from his first encounter with the goblins. However, he was still a bit scared at the thought of fighting goblins to gain more experience points. He came from a peaceful world. Although he had read many fantasy novels, experiencing it firsthand was different from reading a story. The ring that was hanging on his necklace had the ability to bring them to a dungeon. According to his appraisal, it was the Ring of Conquest. The description of the artifact stated that it allowed the user to go to a dungeon that had been recorded inside the ring. The name of the dungeon where they encountered the goblins was known as the Goblin Crypt. It had 20 floors and was considered as a Grade D dungeon. Just as the name suggests, the dungeon's inhabitants were mainly goblins. William shuddered when he remembered the gruesome creatures that had almost sent him back into the cycle of reincarnation. "Let's see my skills first. Maybe I got something useful." William decided not to worry about the goblins for the time being. "I gained 1 level in my job class." William was quite happy with this development and immediately opened the skill tree on his shepherd job class. There were 4 skills that were available. The first one was called Staff Mastery. Staff Mastery. Passive. Increases damage of any staff-related weapons by 10%. This skill is actually not bad, William mused as he looked at the 3 available job points in his status screen. Let's read the other skills first before I make the final decision. Wolf in sheep's clothing. Passive. Increases all stats of the herd by 1. This is a very good skill. William looked at the skill description with sparkling eyes. This would definitely help his mama Ella increase her battle prowess. Magnum Burst. 5 mana points. Deals AoE damage up to 3 square meters around the caster. Damage dealt is equivalent to Strength x2. Knockback effect. Parry. Passive. Increase chances of parrying attack by 5%. Requirement, only works for staff and pole type weapons. 1 active and 3 passive skills, William thought. Getting the Magnum Burst is ideal because it gives me an offensive skill, as for the others, they are more of a support type skill. After careful consideration, William decided to pick Magnum Burst and Wolf in sheep's clothing from the list. He placed 1 skill point on the offensive skill and 2 skill points in the supportive skill. William knew that if he would challenge the dungeon again, he would be relying on his mama Ella's help most of the time. Strengthening the support skill to help mama Ella would ensure his safety. As for the offensive skill, it would be his last resort when things got out of hand. I need to add points to my strength when I level up. Now time to check Mama Ella's status window. Race, Angorian Goat. Hit points, 100/100. Mana, 20/20. Strength, 2. Agility, 3. Vitality, 4. Intelligence, 2. Dexterity, 2. Available stat points, 2. Available skill points, 2. Current EXP, 80/200. William noticed that his Mama Ella's current EXP was the same as his. Without pondering for long, the baby immediately placed 2 stat points on Ella's agility. He deemed that the faster his Mama Ella moved, the greater her chance for dodging the enemy's attack. He didn't want to see her dying in front of him. William would definitely do everything in his power to make sure that his Mama Ella would grow strong. After placing the stat points, he immediately checked the goat's skill tree to see if there were any decent skills available. William didn't know how beasts go stronger in this world. He didn't even know if they could evolve like the ones he saw on TV when he was still back on Earth. However, when he opened Ella's skill tree, he found out that there were 2 paths that he could choose from. The first path was the strength path. If William were to choose this path, Ella would become a creature that would heavily rely on physical strength. The other was called the spirit path. This allowed creatures to form a magic core inside their body. The magic core's function was to help the creature harness the magic power in its environment. Based on William's experience, creating a hybrid would not necessarily make Ella stronger. It might even greatly weaken her in the long run. Let's go with the strength path for now, William decided. Let's just use the might over magic strategy in the early game. We can choose the spirit path when we reach the end game. Chapter 12, Choosing a Path Part 2. Steel Armament, Quick Attack, and Horn Assault, William mused while looking at the 3 options. Steel Armament. 5 mana points. Make the creature's horn and hooves as hard as steel. This skill cannot be upgraded. Quick Attack. 5 mana points. Charges at the enemy with incredible speed. The speed of this attack will depend on the agility stat x3. Horn Assault. 5 mana points. Deals a powerful blow to the enemy. May cause the target to flinch. Damage is based on the strength stat x2. William picked the steel armament without a second thought. The horn and hooves were his Mama Ella's main weapons. If it were strengthened, then it would definitely improve her fighting prowess. Let's put the other point on quick attack for now. I'll get horn assault later after Mama Ella increases her level. With this, I am confident that we will be able to handle a one-on-one battle with a goblin. William had seen how Ella handled the 3 injured goblins after he cast the bestow skill on her. Although he wasn't 100% sure, he was confident that Ella wouldn't lose to a goblin if she fought it one-on-one. Even after he made all the necessary preparations, William was still uncertain if he should go back inside the dungeon. At the end of the day, he was still a 1-year-old baby with the mental age of an 18-year-old boy. For William, he could visit the dungeon when he was a bit older and ensure that both he and Ella wouldn't be in any danger. However, the temptation of becoming stronger at such a young age was too hard to resist. I guess I'll discuss this with Mama Ella first. William sighed. If she thinks that it is too dangerous, then I'll wait till I grow a few years older before we challenge the dungeon again. As if waiting for that exact moment, the sleeping goat finally woke up and licked William's face. Iya. Good morning, Mama. Me. Iya. Mama, there's something important that I would like to talk about. Me. Iya. It's about this. While the baby and the goat were having a heart-to-heart talk, Mordred had already left the house to handle the things within their estate. Anna, on the other hand, was cooking their lunch, while the maids did the other chores inside the house. Home sweet home, a booming voice sounded from outside the house. Master, you are finally back, a maid bowed as he greeted the man who swaggered into the house with a big smile on his face. The man had grey hair and above-average looks that would make any teenage girl on earth call him sugar daddy. His flawless smile made the maid blush as he nodded to her with a smile. "I heard that my grandson is here," the old man said. "Where is he?" "Master, if you are talking about young Lord Matthew, he is currently in the study with his teacher." "Should I call for him?" "I'm not talking about Matthew. I'm talking about my other grandson." The maid nodded in understanding. "Little William is currently inside Lady Anna's and Sir Mordred's bedroom." "All right. Return to your duties." The man waved his hand and headed straight to the second floor where the resting quarters were located. "Iya, Iya. What do you think, Mama?" "Me." While William was waiting for his Mama Ella's reply, an unknown man burst into the bedroom. "Aha! There you are, you little critter," the man laughed as he grabbed William off the carpet and raised him high up in the air. "You are definitely my grandson. That red hair and those green eyes of yours remind me of your father and mother." William smacked the unknown man on the face with his little chubby fist, but the latter only laughed. "Ha ha ha! You are indeed a true Ainsworth. So small and yet so brave." The man nodded in appreciation. "Listen to me, little brat. I am your grandpa." "Grandpa, say grandpa. Iya. Iya. Yet. No. Take this." A sprinkle of water splashed on the man's face. William's giggle resounded inside the bedroom as his grandpa looked at him with a complicated expression. After a few seconds, the man roared and joined the baby in his laughter. This was the scene that Anna saw when she returned to the bedroom. Their maid had informed her that her father-in-law had returned from his trip. She was mildly surprised when the old man went to look for William first, instead of looking for her husband, Mordred. Anna covered her lips and chuckled at the funny scene in front of her. Her piss-stained father-in-law was laughing with the giggling baby in his hands. "Father, you've finally returned," Anna greeted after recovering her composure. "Ah, Anna, I'm back," James, Mordred's and Morgan's father, replied with a smile. "This brat sure is feisty. William is normally a well-behaved child." Anna grinned. "This is the first time I'm seeing his mischievous side." "Well, boys tend to be mischievous," James agreed. "Also, Ella, stop poking me with your horns." "Hey, I said stop." Ella was stomping her foot on the floor while poking James with her horns. She was very upset about how James was treating her baby. If not for the fact that the one who raised her was this man, she would have already impaled him with her horns using her full strength. "Ella has been taking care of William ever since he arrived," Anna explained. "I think she treats him as her own child." "Father, please return William to Ella or else she might really have a go with you." "Me? Oh, you. I just left for a year and you've already forgotten how I raised you. What an ungrateful goat you are." James snorted, but a smile hung on his lips. "Fine, I'll take a bath first. You look after this brat for me." James handed William to Anna and left the room while humming a tune. Clearly, he was in a good mood. "Bad baby." Anna lightly pinched William's chubby cheeks. "That is your grandpa. Don't pee on him, okay?" I'll think about it." Although this was the first time that William had met his grandpa, James, he found the old man to his liking. Of course, James didn't look old. In fact, he only looked like a middle-aged man that was still in his prime. William was looking forward to knowing more about his family in this life and prayed that he would be able to get along with all of them. Chapter 13, Cooked Rice. "So, what do you think, William?" James asked. "The first thing I did after seeing you was to write a letter to my old pal and ask him to make his granddaughter your fiancée." Fiancée? The old man grinned as he rubbed William's chubby cheeks. "She's a year older than you," James explained. "Although I haven't seen her, the old bastard always bragged about his cute granddaughter. Since that is the case, making her your fiancée is definitely a good thing. Ah, she's also the daughter of a duke. It's a good opportunity for our family to climb the ranks of nobility. I didn't know my grandpa was a gold digger. The baby's expression clouded over. The old man noticed the baby's disgruntled expression and decided to coax it. What's wrong with having a beautiful girl as your fiancée? What? You're not satisfied? Don't worry, when you grow up, I'll make sure that you eat the cooked rice as soon as possible. They can't break off the engagement once a little William is inside her tummy. Bastard. William wanted to slap his grandpa for even thinking of committing a crime. Although he was not reluctant to the idea of having a fiancée. Arranged marriages didn't usually end well. Most of the time, it was just a tool for political gains to the nobles. James wandered around the estate carrying William. Ella walked alongside the old bastard and kept a watchful eye on the little baby. An hour later, James climbed a hill overlooking the town of Lant. William, our family had lived here for generations, James said. The life here is simple and crude, but it is very peaceful. Far away from the despicable games of the nobility, yet not important enough for the king's watchful eyes. This was the first time that William had seen his grandpa act this seriously. For a brief moment he had forgotten that the old fool wanted him to tumble on the bed with his fiancée and give him a great-grandchild. Our bloodline is very scant. Aside from me, my 2 sons, Matthew and you, there are no more Ainsworth in this land. We are the last of a dying breed. We don't have any living relatives. William frowned. How come? James sighed as he looked at the distance. William could see sadness and unwillingness in his grandpa's expression. Although he wanted to know why their bloodline only had a few family members, he knew that now was not the right time. A few hours passed and the family had a dinner celebration to commemorate James' safe return from his trip. Matthew, the eldest son of his uncle Mordred and Aunt Anna, sat beside James. William, on the other hand, was lying beside Ella and drinking her milk. His eyes were locked on the family dinner in front of him. He had never experienced this when he was still on Earth because he was an orphan. However, right now, he was wrapped in a sense of belonging. This was his family, and the soul inside the baby felt grateful for being given the opportunity to be born into this warm and caring family. Back then, if I had entered the silver portal, would I have been born into a family that is better than this? William thought. During his 1-year stay at the Ainsworth residence, he found out that his real mother was in the elven continent of Silver Moon. William had no recollection of what his mother looked like. All he knew was that they were forced to separate due to his mother's circumstance. It's fine, William muttered inside his heart. I'll look for my mother when I grow older. There's no need to rush. William had already known that his father had died. He didn't know how he died, because no one in the family discussed it. Like the issue with his mother, he decided to find out more when he had reached a suitable age. After dinner, William was carried to the couple's bedroom. Ella stayed with him as usual. Mama, do you want to return to the dungeon? Me. Are you not scared? Me. You want to become stronger? The Angorian goat licked the baby's cheeks in reply. Okay, but we will return immediately if things get dangerous, okay? Me. A few hours passed and the couple was finally in deep sleep. William held the ring that was hanging on his necklace with both hands and activated it. A second later, he found himself at the familiar cavern. Ella stood beside him and was on full alert. Bestow. Ella's body glowed and she grew half a meter taller. Her stats had been raised by 10. However, that didn't end there. William's passive skills Way of the Shepherd and Wolf in Sheep's Clothing boosted the stats with 3 additional stat points. While William didn't know if the current Ella was strong or not, he was sure that she could handle a one-on-one battle with a goblin. Name, Ella. Race, Angorian goat. Hit points, 425/425. Mana, 150/150. Strength, 2, plus 13. Agility, 6, plus 13. Vitality, 4, plus 13. Intelligence, 2, plus 13. Dexterity, 2, plus 13. Iya. Iya. Mama, remember our agreement. We will only fight up to 2 goblins at a time, okay? Me. The Angorian goat laid down on the ground. William crawled on Ella's back in order to mount her. For some reason, the moment he sat on the goat's back, he felt that he wouldn't be dismounted even if Ella ran at full speed. It was as if the two of them had merged into a single entity. It was a strange feeling, but he didn't dislike it. Iya. Let's go, Mama. Me. The baby and goat pair snuck into the depths of the goblin crypt. William's heart beat wildly inside his chest. Although he was afraid, he was also looking forward to the possibility of becoming one of those protagonists that he had read about in the novels back on Earth. Chapter 14, Cheat Codes. 15 minutes after they arrived in the dungeon, William and Ella found their first target. It was a lone goblin that was currently making a weird dance over a bonfire. For safety reasons, William dismounted Ella's back so the goat could fight without worrying about his safety. Iya. Mama Ella, use steel armament. The goat took a fighting stance and her horns and hooves glittered for a brief moment. The steel armament skill had a duration of an hour. It was a very useful skill that ensured that Ella's primary weapons would be as hard as steel. Iya. Use quick attack. Me. William watched as Ella's image blurred from where she stood. The next second, the goblin that was dancing on the bonfire leaked out a shriek, as its body flew a few meters away due to the impact. Ella immediately used its hooves to stomp at the goblin's face repeatedly. William half covered his eyes at the brutal scene in front of him. He only stopped covering his eyes when he heard the ringing sound of a notification. Gained EXP points, 60. Current EXP, 424/1366. Job EXP, Shepherd level 1 140/200. Ella returned triumphantly by his side. The goat licked the baby's cheeks to assure him that she was all right. Iya. Good job, Mama. Me. After taking care of 2 more goblins, Ella gained another level. Since Ella and William's skill level is the same, both of them gained a level together. Current EXP, 544/1366. Shepherd LVL2. Job EXP, 60/461. William went to Ella's stat page and unlocked the skill Horn Assault. Since there was an extra skill point, he decided to place it on Horn Assault as well. As for the 2 stat points, he decided to place all of them in Ella's agility. His battle plan for Ella was simple. He wanted her to be as nimble as possible for both attack and retreat. Since he had the bestow skill and the wolves in sheep's clothing, he didn't need to worry about adding more points to strength for the time being. William's job level had also increased, so he had 3 available stat points in hand. To be honest, he was really thankful for getting the 1 free extra skill point due to Gavin's blessing. He didn't think twice and pooled all of his skill points to Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, giving a massive boost to Ella's stat points. Wolf in Sheep's Clothing 4/10. Passive. Increases all stats of the herd by 4. Strength, 2, plus 17. Agility, 8, plus 17. Vitality, 4, plus 17. Intelligence, 2, plus 17. Dexterity, 2, plus 17. With each extra stat and skill point in hand, William's confidence also grew. He had seen how Ella fought against the goblin and it took her 4 attacks to kill it. The body of the goblin turned into particles of light and disappeared from the dungeon. No dropped loots. William stared at the space where the goblin died. Even the blood had also disappeared as if it was sucked up by the floor of the dungeon. The two continued hunting for goblins. Half an hour passed and they still hadn't encountered any other goblins aside from the one goblin they had fought earlier. I wish this dungeon had a map, William thought. It's hard to explore Blindalum. The moment William thought of a map, a floor layout appeared in front of him. 70% of the map was still shrouded in darkness. Only the places they had explored earlier were visible. Ha! The saying "ask and you shall receive" is true. William exclaimed as he looked at the map in front of him. Are there other features that I can use aside from the navigation system? Can I use cheat codes? Greed is good 999999. William looked around waiting expectantly for gold coins to appear in front of him. However, nothing happened. The baby curled his lip in disdain. William had the never surrender expression on his face as he shouted the cheat codes in the games he had played back on Earth. Debug MODE1. Up, down, left, right, A, B, select, start. Tulub. Turtle. Off-road. Rosebud. Power overwhelming. Who's your daddy? William panted for breath as he finished shouting the cheat codes he was familiar with. A few minutes passed as an awkward silence enveloped the baby and the goat. So this game needs to be cleared first before I can play the NG version. Fine. Challenge accepted. William thought as she gestured for his mama Ella to allow him to mount her back. With the map hovering in front of him, William navigated the cave with ease. He accidentally found a stairway that was headed downwards as he was clearing the undiscovered places in his map. Frankly, he was half tempted to proceed to the next floor, but William was a completionist by heart. After a brief struggle, he decided to fully map the first floor before he proceeded to the second floor of the Goblin Crypt. After an hour of walking around, they were finally able to clear 70% of the map. It was also at that moment when William saw two red dots in the space in front of them. Finally, William thought. Time for round 2. Mama, use quick attack. Me. Sorry, Mama, I got carried away. Ella laid down on the ground so that William could dismount. William crawled to the corner to hide. Ella immediately charged at the two goblins to engage them in battle. The baby was so focused on the scene in front of him, that he didn't notice the red dot on the map that was slowly creeping up behind him. Chapter 15, Finding a Suitable Target. While William was watching the Angorian goat battle the two goblins, the wooden staff suddenly appeared in front of him, blocking the view of the battle. What's wrong with this staff? William thought. As if on cue, the staff tapped the map on his screen which showed the red dot that was sneaking up behind him. William's body stiffened when he saw that the red dot was almost at his location. Out of panic, he grabbed the wooden staff with both hands. He then slowly turned his head to look behind him. Standing 4 meters away from him, a goblin holding two wooden clubs in its hands growled in anger. Mama! Just as the goblin was about to attack William, a white blur went past him and knocked the goblin flying in the opposite direction. Me. Ella stood in front of William with the intent to protect him. The goblin who was knocked away slowly stood up because Ella's attack wasn't strong enough to kill it. The other two goblins that the goat had engaged earlier were mostly unharmed and were also headed in their direction. Mama, let's retreat. Me. The Angorian goat unceremoniously bit the baby's clothes and ran away. While being carried to safety, William realized that he had been overconfident with his ability. He thought that with Ella's new gained abilities, and his map, he would be invincible. I got too conceited, William thought. I forgot that this was a dungeon. Monsters can spawn anywhere at any time. Based on the games he had played in the past, random encounters like this were very common if you walked into a cave or in tall grasses. If not for the staff appearing to remind him that there was danger, William might have already been squashed like a pancake. When Ella finally lowered William to the ground, the baby was still deep in thought. Me. Sorry, Mama. Me. I will be more careful in the future. Me. I promise. Me. Ella nagged at William for 5 minutes before she finally relented. With this, the baby and the goat were in a dilemma. If they don't hunt for goblins, they would not be able to gain experience points. If they don't get experience points, they wouldn't be able to level up. After the incident, Ella was very reluctant to leave William's side. The baby understood his mama's worry, so he didn't say anything else. What should I do? William pondered. If only there is a place where monsters can't attack me. Wait. Is there a safe zone in this dungeon? William opened the map and checked the places that they had unmasked. Unfortunately, there was nothing that looked like a safe zone in the places that they had visited. Wait, there might be another way. William's eyes widened when he remembered something very important. Their current progress was similar to a game. In every game novel that he had read, there existed a mighty existence that helped protagonists make their life easier. What is that mighty existence? It's none other than the system. William immediately closed his eyes. He had a feeling that all he needed to do was call out for it and it would appear. Within the darkness, something bright glittered in the distance. The baby immediately proceeded to that place and found the thing he was looking for. Hovering above 3 altars were the gifts that were given to him by the 3 gods before he left for the cycle of reincarnation. A chess piece, a CPU core, and a lollipop. Although William didn't know what the chess piece and the lollipop could do, he ignored them for now and went straight to touch the CPU core. The moment his hands touched the core, a dazzling light enveloped his sight. Ding! System has been activated. Preparing soul identification. Host has been identified. Now loading. Error. Host hasn't acquired the minimum requirement to open the system. System will shut down in 3, 2, 1. The light receded and the glow of the CPU core dimmed. William looked in dismay as he used the appraisal skill to check the requirement to activate Gavin's gift to him. CPU core. Activation requirement, job level 10. Job level 10. William tilted his head. I'm currently at job level 2. I need 8 more to open the system. The baby opened its eyes and sighed. He indeed had a system, but he was unable to open it for the time being. I need to activate the system no matter what. William thought long and hard before coming to a decision. Mama Ella, let's go back for now. Me. William activated the ring and returned to the living room. Although their adventure ended prematurely, William didn't think that he hadn't gained anything from his exploration. For one thing, he gained a level. Second, he was able to understand more about the item that Gavin had given him. What William didn't know was that the 3 items that were floating in his sea of consciousness were not actually simple items, but divinities. These divinities could also be called God's essence, and they contained power that could affect the laws of the world. Of course, these divinities had certain restrictions as well. When the sun rose, William waited for Mordred and Anna to leave the room before conducting his experiment. He sat on the floor and summoned the wooden staff. The staff hovered a meter away from him as if waiting for his orders. Magnum burst. The staff tapped the floor and a blast of air pushed Ella a few meters away from William. The carpets and the chair near him were blown away as well. William immediately opened Ella's status page to see if she was hurt, but her HP bar was still full. This meant that the skill didn't hurt her. Of course, he also thought of the possibility that the skill doesn't affect his allies. I need to find a suitable target, William thought. Mama, carry me. Me. I want to go outside. Me. The goat laid down and allowed William to mount it. Just like what happened in the dungeon, William felt that he and Ella had become one. It was a surreal feeling. He even thought that even if he swayed his body side to side, he wouldn't fall off from her back even if he wanted to. As the two left the room, they were discovered by William's grandpa, James. "Oh." James looked. "Where are the two of you going?" Outside." "Me. I don't really understand. But, make sure to not stray too far from the house, okay?" Okay." "Me." James watched in amusement as the goat and the baby left the house through the front door. "That child reminds me of my childhood," James muttered. "Just a year old and already out seeking for an adventure." Chapter 16, A Storm is Brewing. Magnum burst. A shower of leaves fell down on William's head as he tried his skill on a tree. The bark of the tree had no visible damage, but the effect of the AoE had activated. Magnum burst. 5 mana points. Deals AoE damage up to 3 square meters around the caster. Damage is dependent on the caster's strength. Knockback effect. So, this skill currently deals no damage because I don't have any strength. William frowned. But, it still has the knockback effect. William checked his stats and sighed. Strength, 0. Agility, 0, +1. Vitality, 1, +1. Intelligence, 14, +1. Dexterity, 0. Current EXP, 544/1366. Shepherd LVL2. Job EXP, 60/461. I need 822 more express before I gain another level to increase my stats, William mused. Killing one goblin gives me 60 points. In order to level up, I need to kill 14 goblins. Should I add my points to strength when I level up? After careful considerations, William decided that it was not a good idea. Even if he added his stats to strength, he would not be able to deal massive damage to the enemy. Adding the stat points to intelligence would be more ideal because he could act as support to his mama Ella. Magnum Burst is a good skill because it allows me to repel anyone that dares to target me. It will also give enough time for Mama Ella to come to my rescue. Although it doesn't deal damage right now, the knockback will be able to keep me safe. Mama, use horn assault. Me. Ella's horns doubled in size and glowed bloody red. The goblin was skewered and shrieked madly. Ella didn't stop after she impaled her target. Instead, she ran towards the wall of the dungeon with the intention of crushing the goblin to a pulp. Gained EXP points, 60. Current EXP, 604/1366. Shepherd LVL2. Job EXP, 120/461. Nice. William grinned when he saw the notification. Right now, he was multitasking. While checking the battle, he was also observing the map at the same time. His right hand was holding the wooden staff in preparation to protect himself if a random monster spawned beside him. He had already learned his lesson and he wouldn't allow any mistakes to happen this time. He and his mama Ella only had one life. It was best to be careful and take things slowly. Gained EXP points, 60. Gained EXP points, 60. Gained EXP points, 60. Gained EXP points, 60. After killing 13 more goblins, William finally gained a level in his stats and job level. Current EXP, 18/2010. Shepherd LVL3. Job EXP, 439/880. Although he was tempted to add the stats to strength, he knew that now was not the right time to do it. He placed the 3 stat points he gained to int and it made him feel a bit more confident. Strength, 0. Agility, 0, +1. Vitality, 1, plus 1. Intelligence, 17, plus 1. Dexterity, 0. After taking care of his stats, William placed all of his available skill points to wolves in sheep's clothing. He knew that this was the safest investment he could make because Ella was the one fighting for him. The stronger she became, the safer he would be. Wolf in sheep's clothing 7/10. Passive. Increases all stats of the herd by 7 points. Now, it's Mama Ella's turn. Strength, 2. Agility, 10. Vitality, 4. Intelligence, 2. Dexterity, 2. Quick attack 2/5. 5 mana points. Charges at the enemy with incredible speed. The speed of this attack will depend on the agility stat x 3.5. Horn assault 2/10. 5 mana points. Deals a powerful blow to the enemy. May cause the target to flinch. Damage is based on the strength stat x 2.5. With this the first floor has been cleared, William clapped his hands happily. Time to go to the second floor and see what kind of adventure is waiting for us. Ella licked the baby's cheeks. Clearly, she was in a good mood. She could feel herself getting stronger. For her, it was a good thing. Her only concern was William's safety. As if reading her thoughts, William reached out to hug her neck. Don't worry, Mama. I'll keep myself safe. Me. Let's go to the second floor. Me. William sat on Ella's back with a smile on his face. The Angorian goat walked steadily as it descended, carrying her baby, to the second floor of the goblin crypt. 9 years passed swiftly, like the grains of sand inside an hourglass. For William, those 9 years were filled with close calls as he and Ella walked the thin line between life and death. Of course, he could choose not to use the ring of conquest and live a peaceful and stable lifestyle. However, he didn't choose that route. He didn't want to waste his youth doing nothing but eating and sleeping. His mentality in regards to his second life was largely due to the influence of the novels that he had read when he was still back on Earth. William knew that if he didn't grasp the opportunity to become stronger while he was young, he would regret it for the rest of his life. In a valley located near the outskirts of Lant, hundreds of Angorian goats and sheep were currently grazing in peace. Not far from them, a 10-year-old boy sat on top of a tree branch. He was keeping a lookout for any potential threats to the safety of his herd. The wind rustled his short red hair as he watched his herd with a smile. Among the hundreds of Angorian goats, his herd only consists of 50 individuals. The rest were managed by 5 other shepherds, and apprentice shepherds like him, who lived in the town of Lant. Will. A boy in his early teens ran towards the tree where William was taking a rest. Your grandfather is looking for you. Gramps? William glanced at his friend, Theo, who was also the son of the most senior shepherd in Lant. Do you know why he is looking for me? William asked. No, Theo answered. But, he doesn't look good. He seems to be very angry. William frowned. His grandfather was a very happy-go-lucky person. Very few things could make him angry. Theo had no reason to lie to him, so something must have happened to the old man while he was away from the estate. All right. William nodded his head. Can you keep watch over my herd while I'm away? If I'm not back before my shift ends, bring them back to our family pen. But, I was supposed to play with the others this afternoon. I'll give you a slice of apple pie. 2 slices. Deal. William grinned. He then shouted at the herd who was grazing at the pasture. Mama! Let's go home. Gramps is calling for us. Me. An Angorian goat who was 1.5 meters tall broke out from the herd and ran towards William. The boy jumped off the branch and landed nimbly on the back of his mama Ella. The two traveled back to their residence in haste. What William didn't know was that there was a storm brewing within the Ainsworth residence, and it was all because of him. Chapter 17, Guests from Afar Part 1. As William and Ella neared their estate, they noticed a luxurious carriage in the distance. He had never seen a carriage like this in Lont, so he assumed that they were having guests from outside their border. Right beside the carriage was a 6-meter-tall creature. This beast had the head and wings of an eagle, and the body of a lion. It was very easy for William to identify this creature that came from myths and legends. "A griffin," William muttered as Ella stopped in front of the beast to give it a better look. The Angorian goat raised her head and stared at the griffin. The griffin stared back. William could see the disdain in its proud and sharp eyes. It was as if the two of them were just mere insects passing through and not worthy of its attention. "Let's go, Mama," William said as he caressed Ella's neck. "It's just an overgrown burb." "Me. It's not a bird, Mama, it's a burb." "Me. A burb is what you call a bird that is having an identity crisis." The goat looked at the griffin one more time before nodding her head. She agreed with William that this creature was not a bird, but a burb. Since it was a burb, she didn't have to bother with trying to figure out why it had legs instead of talons. Clearly, this bird was having an identity crisis. The goat looked at the griffin with pity before walking towards their house. "Me. I agree, Mama. This burb is truly pitiful." The griffin was a very intelligent creature. Naturally, it understood William and Ella's conversation and it made it very angry. If not for the fact that it was tied to the carriage, it would have already trampled the two insects who dared to look at it with pitiful eyes. With a belly filled with anger, the griffin gave a deafening shriek, but William and Ella didn't even bother to give it a second glance. They were more curious about who their guest was. Since they rode such an amazing carriage pulled by a griffin, their identity would surely be not ordinary. "Grandpa, I'm back!" William shouted as he opened the door. "Me." Ella also announced her arrival, which made those who were currently sitting at the living room look at them in surprise. There were 3 people who were seated at the couch, and 4 were standing behind them. The 3 were wearing elegant clothes, while the 4 men behind them were wearing light armors. James, Mordred, and Anna sat across from these guests. William noticed that his grandfather's expression was indeed not very good. He could feel the barely restrained anger that was threatening to explode at any moment. "William, please, take a seat," Anna said with a smile. These guests came from the Duchy of Griffith. Anna's tone was polite, but William couldn't feel any semblance of respect in her voice. It was as if his aunt didn't treat these people as guests, but pests who came into their territory. Mordred cleared his throat and introduced the guests one by one. "This lady is the Duchess of Griffith, Lady Agatha," Mordred said with a smile. "And this lovely young girl here is her daughter, Lady Rebecca." He then shifted his gaze at the beautiful woman who was wearing an elegant light blue robe. Her cold features and chilling gaze would make anyone lower their heads in submission. "This lady is one of the elders of the Misty sect, Lady Eleanor." Mordred grinned. "They came from far away just to see you, William." "Oh." William raised an eyebrow and appraised the guests one by one. The Duchess of Griffith had long light brown hair, and green eyes. She could be considered a beauty, but the obvious displeasure on her face made William think of an old witch who was out to give little kids poisoned apples. Her daughter, Rebecca, on the other hand, made William's eye soften. Although he wasn't completely sure, he guessed that her age was almost the same as his. Her short light brown hair that barely reached her shoulders looked as smooth as silk. She had the same light green eyes as her mother's, but compared to the old hag, her eyes were bright and clear. Her cute and adorable lips were poised in a smile that made her already beautiful face very charming. William sighed at the doll-like girl in front of him. He had no doubt in his mind that if he were a Lilicon, he would have already locked her up in his room and treated her like a pet. As for the cold beauty who was staring daggers at him, William didn't even spare her a second glance. Although she was beautiful, the boy could tell that she was the embodiment of bad news. "Good day to all of you," William greeted with a smile. "My name is William von Ainsworth, Will for short, and the most handsome 10-year-old boy in the central continent. I dare say that you won't find anyone more handsome than me. As for the other boys in the continent, William curled his lip in disdain. All of them can just fight for second place. After William's shameless declaration, the room suddenly became silent. Even the scowling old hag and the cold beauty looked at William with dumbfounded faces. This made the smirk on William's face widen. Clearly, he was very satisfied with this result. The silence was suddenly broken by a boisterous laughter that came from James. Ha ha ha! As expected of my grandson. James clapped his hands. The anger that he had been bottling up completely evaporated into thin air as his eyes turned into crescents. Worthy of being an Ainsworth. William flipped his hair and flashed a dazzling smile. He also gave the little doll a "I know you like me" expression. Because he had just come from the pasture, William's clothes were dirty. His face was dusty and his red hair was a mess. Even so, his green eyes that were as clear as emeralds made the little doll, Rebecca, raise an eyebrow in acknowledgement. This should be enough for a first impression, William mused. If I'm not mistaken, this little lowly should be my fiancé. As expected of Gramps, he really did a good job. William found Rebecca to his liking and gave the young girl 2 thumbs up in his heart. The boy knew that, in a few more years, this little doll would grow up to be an outstanding beauty. Marrying someone like her wouldn't be a bad idea, as far as William was concerned. However, before he could even imagine his rose-colored future, the old hag opened her mouth and broke William's daydream. Since you are already here, let us get right down to business, Agatha said in a mocking tone. We came here to break the marriage agreement between my daughter and this unworthy boy who is covered in filth. Chapter 18, Guests from Afar Part 2. How dare you? James erupted in anger. You dare call my grandson unworthy? Father, please calm down. Mordred held his father in a bear hug. He was afraid if the old man really went all out, the Duchess would have her neck ripped off from her body. The guards who were standing behind their employers drew their swords and stood between the two parties. Sorry, Lord Ainsworth, Agatha replied with a light bow. Although I had offended your family, I will not allow my daughter to marry your grandson. Even if it was decreed by my husband's father. Where is that bastard? James asked. Bring him here. I want him to explain the reason why he is backing out of our agreement. The old Duke had gone to explore the desert in the south, Agatha replied. I'm afraid that it would be impossible to get in touch with him at this point in time. James laughed in contempt. I see. So, you took the opportunity while he was away to break this engagement. In short, he is not aware of your actions, am I right, Lady Agatha? Yes. The old Duke is not aware of my actions, Agatha admitted. Her stance made it clear that she was not going to back down. She was hell-bent on breaking the marriage agreement while her husband's father was away from their duchy. Good. 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 James glared at the woman in front of her. To think that a little baroness would act like this after marrying a duke. Truly disappointing. So, is your husband in agreement to this as well? My husband shares the same opinion. Agatha raised her chin. The current Duke of Griffith doesn't recognize this arranged marriage. If you want to talk to him, then feel free to come to the Dukedom of Griffith. We will be more than happy to give you our hospitality. Hospitality? James sneered. ASL*T like you and that bastard better wash your necks. You want me to come to your duchy? Fine, I will bring the Red Plague along with me when I visit. I want to see just how the two of you are planning to give me your hospitality. Agatha and the cold beauty, Eleanor, from the Misty sect had a sudden change in their expression. They looked at the old man in shock because they knew that he was dead serious. What's wrong? James said in disdain. Scared? You think you and your husband have the authority to break this agreement? As for you, Eleanor of the Misty sect, it seems that you and those old hags in your ice mountain have a lot of free time. Do you also want me to give you a visit? I'm very curious, what kind of hospitality will you give this old man? Agatha's and Eleanor's expressions were very grim. Although the possibility of the Red Plague returning to their kingdom was low, they couldn't deny this possibility. Both of them couldn't afford to pay the consequence if the old man made his threat a reality. Gramps, calm down. William patted his grandfather's arm. You are being rude to our guests. You brat. I'm doing this for you. If there weren't other people around, James would have already grabbed the little prick and spanked his bum to oblivion. Don't worry, Gramps, I'll handle this, William said with a smile. Just calm down. I don't want you to get a heart attack. It's just not worth it. Aunt, can you bring Grandpa to his room? I'll take care of our guests for the time being. Anna eyed her nephew with appreciation and nodded her head. Father, let's go. I'm sure that William will be able to deal with these pests, our guests. James snorted and left the living room in a huff. Mordred sighed and motioned for his nephew to sit by his side. Seeing that the dangerous situation had died down, the 4 guards sheathed their weapons and stood behind their employers. All right, so you came here to break the marriage agreement? William nodded his head. Can you tell me why? Agatha looked at the boy in front of her in surprise. The way he acted was not that of a 10-year-old. Although she didn't feel like she was talking to an adult, she still thought that the one who was taking the lead in the conversation was not a child. Allow me to answer your question, Eleanor replied. Rebecca is a genius. A genius that is only born once every 200 years. As her master, I can't allow my disciple to marry a nobody. Ah, I see. William nodded his head. Perfectly understandable. Why you agree? Eleanor frowned. You agree that you are not worthy of my disciple. You are mistaken. William shook his head. I understand your reason, but I don't agree with it. However, since you came here to break the marriage agreement due to this reason, you must surely have made sufficient preparations, right? Agatha was starting to feel that the filthy boy in front of her was not as simple as he seemed. His mannerisms, and the way he acted, made her feel that this marriage agreement wasn't a big deal to him. What do you mean made sufficient preparations? Agatha asked. What I mean is, have you prepared your compensation? William smiled. Since you are planning to break the marriage agreement, you should have brought a suitable compensation to make us agree to your demand, right? Mordred, who was listening to his nephew, had a calm expression on his face. However, deep inside, he was very alarmed. William had never acted like this in front of them before, and for a moment, he was unsure if the boy sitting next to him was his real nephew or not. I see. Agatha nodded her head. You want compensation, right? Very well, how much gold do you want? Gold? I'm not interested in gold, William replied. Do you think we are poor? Yes, Agatha thought. You are poor, Eleanor mused. Very poor. Rebecca smiled. Actually, we are very poor. Mordred sighed in his heart, but didn't say anything. He needed to act as if gold wasn't a big deal to him in order to support his nephew in the negotiations. My goodness, where is our manners? William placed his hand over his forehead as if he had completely forgotten something. Aunt Helen, please serve our guests some tea. Here, use these special leaves I picked on my way back home. William shamelessly picked the leaves, and grasses that were stuck on his clothes one by one. He didn't even spare the leaves that had fallen on his head while he slept in the valley. As you wish, young master, Helen, the maid of the family, took the leaves with a smile. She then proceeded to the kitchen in order to brew the special tea for their guests. Don't worry, tea will be served shortly. William gave his guests a bright smile. I want to show all of you our hospitality. Mordred averted his gaze and gave a light cough. Although he was poor, he was not shameless enough to serve tea made from the wild grasses that the goats of Lant fed on in the valley. Agatha and Eleanor did their best to keep their disgust from appearing on their faces. They couldn't believe that William actually dared to serve them tea made from wild grass. This was a slap to their faces and it made them seethe in anger. Rebecca, on the other hand, looked at William with amusement. She didn't really care about the marriage agreement and didn't think much of her fiancé. However, the more she looked at William, the more pleasing he became in her eyes. Chapter 19, William's Compromise Part 1. Here you go, young master, Helen said as she served the tea in front of William. Thank you, Aunt Helen, William replied. I promised Theo that I'd give him 2 slices of apple pie. Please, hand it to him when he comes later to return our sheep. Understood. Helen nodded her head and left the living room. William picked up the teacup and took a quick sip before glancing at their guests. Well then, let's get down to business. William smiled. So, what kind of compensation did you prepare in order to bribe our family to break this engagement? Like I said earlier, we don't need gold. We're not poor. Agatha glanced at Eleanor before taking the initiative to start the discussion. Then what do you want? Agatha asked. Treasures, artifacts, William replied. As long as it has value then I'll take it. Eleanor took a small box from her storage ring and showed it to William. In this world, rich and influential people were able to afford these magical artifacts who were able to store items in a separate dimension. According to William's knowledge, the maximum capacity of the best storage ring in the continent was only 2 square meters. Although it made things easier to carry things around, the space was quite limited. Eleanor opened the box and showed its contents to William. This is called the Pill of Growth, Eleanor explained. This is a very expensive pill that is worth 2,000 gold coins. If you agree to break this marriage agreement, I will give this to you. You want me to break the marriage agreement for a pill that is only worth 2,000 gold coins? William asked in a mocking tone. He then glanced at Rebecca and grinned. In your master's eyes, you are only worth 2,000 gold coins. Rebecca frowned, but didn't say anything. Seeing her reaction, Eleanor's face sank. Although the young genius had accepted her to be her master, the two of them hadn't started their apprenticeship. She was planning to take Rebecca to the Misty sect to start her training, but postponed it when she discovered that she was engaged to a country bumpkin. As an elder of the prestigious sect, she wouldn't allow her disciple to have any kind attachment to a nobody. Agatha and her husband shared her opinion. This was also why they took advantage of the old duke's absence. Both of them wanted to break the engagement that was made when Rebecca was only 2 years old. Of course this is not the only thing that I am willing to give you, Eleanor said through gritted teeth. This is only one of the things that you will obtain if you agree to break the marriage agreement between the two families. Can I see that pill? William asked. Okay. Eleanor passed the box over so that William could take a closer look. The elder of the Misty sect was confident that the boy was ignorant of such a treasure. What she didn't know was that William had the almighty appraisal skill at his beck and call. Pill of Growth. When consumed, this pill will permanently increase all stats by 1. William snorted and unceremoniously made a gesture for his mama Ella to come closer. Mama, this is good stuff. William grinned. Me. Try it, Mama. William placed the pill inside Ella's mouth, which shocked Agatha, Eleanor, and the 4 guards behind them. The Angorian goat chewed the pill and its eyes widened in surprise. Is it good? William asked. Me. Just so. Ella nodded her head in confirmation. Although the pill had raised all of her stats by 1, the taste was not satisfactory for her. Why you? What have you done? Eleanor couldn't believe her eyes. The boy actually fed the pill of growth to a goat. What a waste of resources. The 4 guards glared at William. They felt their heart ache because a pill of growth was worth 5,000 sect credits. They had to work for 2 years in order to get enough points to exchange for it at the Misty sect. What's wrong? William asked back. It's just a cheap pill of growth. Don't worry, since I already used it, you can deduct it from the list of compensation items that you are planning to give me. Eleanor's chest heaved up and down in fury. The pill of growth was supposed to be her gift to Rebecca. In order to make the bastard boy agree to annul the marriage agreement, she decided to compromise and give it to him instead. However, seeing him treat her treasure like it was just a piece of candy angered her. Seeing Eleanor's expression, Agatha decided to intervene and picked a treasure from her own storage ring. Here, this is a magic staff, Agatha explained. Although you don't have an ounce of magical power, you can pass it to other people who are more talented than you. William ignored the ridicule in Agatha's words and took the magic staff from her hand. Bronze Staff of Learning. A staff suitable for apprentice magicians. Increases intelligence by 3. William frowned and returned the staff to Agatha. Sorry, I'm not interested in a cheap magic staff. Do you have something better? See cheap? This staff is worth 1,000 gold coins. Agatha almost whacked the boy's head using the staff in her hands. She couldn't believe that a mere shepherd dares to call it cheap. I'm not interested in low-quality items. William shrugged. Oh, they said that you are a genius. Are you a magician? Yes, Rebecca replied. Do you have a magic staff? I do. Show it to me. Rebecca pondered for a bit before reluctantly summoning her magic staff. Unlike the bronze staff of learning, the staff in Rebecca's hand had a dark blue color. You could even call it a spear, but instead of a sharp blade, a big purple crystal in the shape of a rose adorned its tip. William's eyes sparkled because he could tell that the staff was way better compared to the bronze staff that he had appraised earlier. Can I touch it? Don't worry, I won't break it. William patted his chest. I just want to take a closer look at it. Very well, but you can only hold it for half a minute, Rebecca stated. This staff is worth 20,000 gold coins. 20,000 gold coins? It's that expensive. William held the staff in his hands to have it appraised. However, before he could even use the appraisal skill, a series of text appeared in front of him. Ding! Would you like to acquire the Ice Mage job class? Yes/no. Chapter 20, William's Compromise Part 2. William froze when he read the notification. It took him a few seconds to regain his composure and immediately chose yes as his answer. Time's up, Rebecca announced as she snatched the magic staff from William's hands. Your half a minute has passed. William was still in a daze. He hadn't heard Rebecca's words because he was busy inspecting the new job class that he had acquired. Congratulations! Host has acquired the Ice Mage job class. Ice Mage job class has been automatically added to the subclass category. Ice Mage. A magician that specializes in ice magic. Increase resistance against cold. Host has learned skill, Ice Bullet. FCK. I got a new job class just by holding a staff. William's heart was thumping wildly inside his chest. He had often wondered how he could acquire a subclass. Never in his wildest dreams did he think that acquiring a new job class was this easy. William's shocked expression made Agatha and Eleanor look at him in contempt. The two older women thought that the boy had been shocked due to how expensive the magic staff was. How ignorant, Agatha thought. Country bumpkin, Eleanor mused. Mordred, who was seated by William's side, frowned. He could see William's hands trembling and wondered if he should step in to save his nephew. Do you guys have other expensive items? William stuttered. It's the first time I held something so amazing in my life. If you are able to show me at least 5 items of the same quality, I will agree to annul this arranged marriage. Only show you? Agatha asked. You're not going to take it. I won't take it, William answered while keeping his excitement at bay. I just want to hold it just like I did with that staff. If we do this, will you really agree to cancel the marriage agreement? Eleanor inquired. This was the reason for their visit. If she could make the boy write a letter to renounce the agreement, then the old duke wouldn't be able to find anything amiss. Yes, however, it should be of the same quality or higher, William answered. I will not accept cheap items. Agatha and Eleanor exchanged a glance and nodded at the same time. They retrieved the most expensive items from their storage rings and piled them in front of William. The boy looked at all the treasures in front of him and his eyes sparkled in excitement. Ding! Would you like to acquire the fire mage job class? Ding! Would you like to acquire the water mage job class? Ding! Would you like to acquire the earth mage job class? Ding! Would you like to acquire the wind mage job class? The items that Eleanor presented were all magic staffs of the different elements. Since she was a sorceress, all her treasures belonged to the magic type category. William's breathing became heavier with each item he held in his hands. His eyes also became bloodshot, which made Eleanor very happy. She thought that the boy had finally realized that he was a frog at the bottom of the well. A frog that is trying to eat a swan. Eleanor laughed inside her head. See the difference between our social standing. It's time to wake up from your daydream, you country bumpkin. After William finished inspecting the magical weapons that came from Eleanor, he shifted his attention to the weapons that came from Agatha's collection. Ding! Would you like to acquire the swordsman job class? Ding! Would you like to acquire the archer job class? Ding! Would you like to acquire the spearman job class? Ding! Would you like to acquire the monk job class? Ding! Would you like to acquire the thief job class? William's body shuddered in ecstasy. His breathing had now become ragged, as if he was about to faint any time due to exhaustion. William, are you all right? Mordred asked. He was very worried about his nephew's current condition. I never felt better in my life, William replied hoarsely. He took a step back and almost collapsed on the couch. Fortunately, Mordred was paying close attention to him and was able to support his body on time. Are you satisfied? Agatha asked. Will you honor our agreement? Why, yes, William replied. He still hadn't recovered from the euphoria that he had felt earlier. I will agree to the cancellation of this marriage agreement. We need you to write a letter, and it must have your signature as well, Eleanor interjected. It's not that we don't trust you, but this thing must be properly recorded. Understood. William nodded and asked for paper and ink. He then wrote a letter saying that he didn't agree to the arranged marriage that was made between his Gramps and Rebecca's grandfather. The reason he gave for the cancellation of the marriage agreement was due to Rebecca being not good enough for him. He stated that since he was the most handsome boy in the continent, it was only natural that he be paired up with a girl that had the beauty to topple nations. Also, he was not optimistic about Rebecca's growth in her chest area. William felt that the girl would only have a B cup when she reached adulthood. He even politely added that he could consider making Rebecca his concubine if his main wife agreed to accept her into his harem. When Agatha and Eleanor read William's letter, both of them almost spat out a mouthful of blood in anger. William had listed a series of complaints as to why Rebecca was not worthy to become his fiancée and not the other way around. Agatha even had the impulse to rip the little bastard to shreds in order to eat his flesh and drink his blood. She had never felt so angered in her life and it almost drove her crazy. Since I have written the letter, then all of you should leave, William shooed the pests away. Don't tell me you plan to stay to have dinner with us? Well, I guess we can spare you some porridge since the Ainsworth family has a big heart. I don't want any rumors flying around that we didn't treat our guests properly. Agatha dragged her daughter towards the front door because she was afraid that, if she stayed a second longer, she would hack the little bastard into pieces. Eleanor also left without saying anything, because she had never experienced humiliation like this in her life. She was the elder of the Misty sect and was treated with respect wherever she went. She cursed William in her heart and even decided to take revenge in the future. Rebecca hadn't seen the contents of the letter and obediently followed her mother back to the carriage. She thought that William was an interesting boy, but not worthy enough to become her fiancé. If Rebecca only knew what the interesting boy wrote in his letter, she might have summoned her staff and used it to beat the crap out of him until he shed tears of blood.